Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how I make the gathered trim for 18th century Sacque Back gowns. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Fabric Witchcraft. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do the gathered trim that you can add to 18th century gowns, or you could basically add it to any kind of costume or thing that you want to, but I'm specifically focusing on the double-edged gathered trim. There's multiple types of trim that I've seen people make for 18th century gowns. So in order to shorten them, I will say right now that the materials list is actually down below. And so once we get through the intro, you can jump straight into preparing your fabric and doing this stitch. This is an easier technique, but like it looks, when you do it, it looks so, just light and fluffy and beautiful. So yeah, I'd also just like to say thank you all for being here, being a part of this series. And if you would like to go over to my Patreon and become a patron, the $10 tier actually gets to vote on which one of these I make next. So every Wednesday when one of these videos go live, over on Patreon, the voting tier will get a poll, and they get to pick between the two types. Now, if that's not what you want to do, if you don't care which types I do, that's totally okay. But if you would like early access, you can join the $5 tier, and you actually get early access to all 5 videos I make every month. You also get one exclusive video for the $5 tier, you'll get a $1 tier exclusive video, and you get either a pattern or embroidery file every single month. So it is popping over there. But ultimately, Patreon allows me to purchase more materials for costumes. It allows me to purchase better equipment for filming. I have to purchase an external hard drive because I've got 2 and they're both almost full. But things like that. So if you would like to help support this channel, please go over there, do the thing. Otherwise, if you can't afford to do that, sharing, commenting, liking, subscribing, those things are always that you can help support this channel, tell your friends about it. And then also, if at the end of the video or any time that you see one of these videos and you try out this technique, please tag me on Instagram, use the hashtag #FabricWitchcraft. I will be sharing them all the time if anyone does decide to do them. I've had a lot of people DM me saying, I want to try that. And without further ado, I forgot my magic wand. Give me 1 second. Without further ado, let's cast a spell. Okay, is that campy enough? All right, so let's just get right into prepping our fabric. We're gonna be cutting a 24-inch piece of silk to peony by 4 inches. So I'm just gonna start by marking it here with my water-soluble marker. But so we are just gonna go mark our 4 inches, and now we're gonna cut. Now these are scalloped pinking shears, and I realized I just cut them on the wrong edge, and I did it for that too. The fun thing about these is you can do them in all different widths. So we're just gonna try to cut pretty close. There we go. So you could do them 6 inches wide. All right. We're gonna just set that aside. So once again, this is our sample, and I'm also gonna show you how you can attach it to your base fabric. So now I'm gonna take this strip here over to my iron, which is right here next to me, but I'm gonna basically fold this and press it in half. So the next you'll see is just this already pressed. All right, so now I have pressed this in half, and I'm gonna do one last thing before we get started, and that is I'm gonna mark 12 inches. So here is the 12-inch marking, and I'm just gonna mark this because, well, you'll see. All right, attempt number 2, because I got a knot. We are going to start by putting our knot on the other side, and we stitched this on like the right end of our strip. Now we are going to go about 1/2 inch away from that first stitch and 1/4 inch in, and we're just doing a whip stitch. So we're basically just bringing our needle through the bottom, and it's kind of gonna start wrapping around this edge here. Again, we're gonna go a 1/2 inch away from our stitch and a 1/4 inch in from the fold. 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch. And we're gonna do this until we hit that 12-inch mark that we marked like when we were prepping, you know, right before we started stitching. And I'll explain why we're gonna go that far once I get there. All right, so we've hit this 12-inch mark, as you can see, and now we want to gather this down to 6 inches. We are gonna just pull, and we're gonna pull and pull and pull and scooch and pull and scooch. We're gonna measure this. You can also, you don't have to do this a 1:2 ratio. You can do this like a 1 to 1.5. Like you can do this, you know, a 1:3, however you want. This is gonna be, again, one of those things where it is your project and your choice and you got all the control. Okay, so we're gonna measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we could probably scooch just there. Okay, so when you've got your gather, if you can see, down to where you would like, we want to kind of create a stopping point here, just because we don't want to lose that. So if you remember in my past tutorials, we tie off a section when we don't want it to move anymore. We're doing the same exact thing here. So we're just going to create a double knot. We're going to go through this. You could loop it twice if you want, or just do it how I do it, where I do 1 loop and then a 2nd loop. But you essentially just want to loop it off so it won't move. Like you can move it amongst itself, but once you get to this point here, it stops moving. Like it's not gonna move. So you can, you know, vary this gather if you want it a little bit more even, but it won't go past this part. And now we have all of this thread left. So we're gonna just continue the stitch to the end of this. Okay, so now we're at the end of this 12-inch piece and we're gonna do the exact same thing we just did. We are gonna gather and squish it all down. So here's our knot and here's our end. And we're gonna just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Awesome. So now that we know this is gathered down to 6 inches, it's not evenly distributed really, but we are going to tie our knot off just like we did on the first one. And this one we're actually gonna trim the thread from and cut our needle off. But as you can see, I have quite a bit of thread left from this. It looks like I have at least 20 or so inches. So that's pretty great. So we're gonna knot that. Now we're gonna take and trim it. And now we can kind of, again, like I said, just distribute our gather just a bit, just to kind of make it a little bit more even. Because the next step, we are going to open this up. Ooh, ah. And now I'm gonna go press this down. Okay, so now we have ironed our our gathered piece down, and you can kind of see it flattens it out a little bit, but look at how that texture is on the inside. I think that is super, super pretty, and I think that this looks so delicate, but like pretty. I don't know. So now I've got my piece of, like, we're gonna pretend that this dupioni, the gold dupioni, is our gown or whatever we would be attaching this ruffle to. So now we're gonna come down through the back of our fabric here, and we want our knot to be on the back, and we want to kind of try to just find a nice little place where all of these gathers are, and we want to stitch pretty close to that first initial stitching. So we just want to bring our knot through, and we want to try to stay in this crease. So now we're going to go about a 1/2 inch away from that. And this is really just a very simple, like, tacking type stitch that we're doing here, where we are just not going to gather up all of our fabric. So we're just coming through the bottom, And then again, we're trying to stay in this crease. Now when you do this with matching thread, it's even easier, but we're trying to do again, you know the point of me using black thread versus matching thread. So okay, so now you see the top. We're gonna flip this over really, really quick, and you can see, look, it's just a nice little, I go about every inch, and we're gonna now tie this off. One. And we can do a double loop on this one if we want. Two. So there you go, that's how I did it. If you look, it's not coming off. There we go. We got our little extra doodaddy, like so. All right, and there you have it. That's how we do the gathered trim, double edge gathered trim. Feel free to use this on whatever costume, dress, nightie, whatever you're making. I'd love to see it, or just practice it and play around with it. I will be using this technique specifically in a few gowns I've got coming up. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate all the love and support I've been getting for both this series and also some of the other costume work I've been doing. You guys are fabulous, and it really means a lot to me that so many of you like the work that I've been doing. So thank you all so very much, and I will see you in the next video. Happy sewing! Here with my water soluble marker, but this is also heat soluble, so when I go in iron, heat soluble, is that even a word? And we're gonna just pull it through. We're gonna get it better or not.